10 o'clock. Calling to order the regular meeting of the Gillum County Court, March 19th, and we're in Arlington today. The meeting's called to order. A quorum has been established and we'll have the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning. Okay, we're going to begin with additions or revisions to the agenda. Are there any additions or revisions? Okay. Correspondence, public comment. We're going to start with a couple of pieces of correspondence. Each of our commissioners have those, and go ahead, Commissioner Wilkins.
Yes, we received a response from Annabelle, Neil, and Sean Bell. Are they on?
Sean is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sean's on.
I'm here.
Yeah, I'm understanding that you or Annabelle were going to provide a brief statement.
Yeah, sure. I can do that if you'd like. So per the letter or the email that we sent over to you guys, we have opted to withdraw our application for the right-of-way grant, and that is based on a number of factors. Some of those factors are the timing and the very early stage engineering and design that we are in the middle of. We anticipate that we'll have a decent idea of routing and structure design in probably anywhere from 6 months to 2 years out, depending on a number of pieces that need to come together. One being available land, environmental studies, etc. So at this time, we're opting to withdraw our right-of-way application. And further to that, we have been in discussions with very high-level discussions at this point, but with discussions with EDPR and Brookfield, who are the other two developers that are potentially developing in Gillum County. So that's kind of where we stand right now, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions?
Yeah, Sean, and I see in the letter here, there's some something to consider, some improvements like the conversation we had the other day. I look forward to reaching out to you for some suggestions too, and see what we need to do to possibly make our application improved.
Yep, certainly. I'm always available to chat about this and to help in any way I can with the county and county process. It'd be my pleasure.
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you very much,
Commissioner Watkins, did you have any questions?
I'd like to see the letter that was sent to Cordelia posted on the website. So it's, because it should be public. And it's not on there.
Yes, we can do that. Will you work with, since I declared a conflict, Commissioner Wilkins, will you work with Anya to get that done?
Yeah, I thought it was in was it March packet, but anyway, okay.
It was on the February 5th meeting, but it was not on it's not on the website.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, next piece of correspondence, Commissioner Watkins.
Okay, Jessica Isley sent one. I'm questioning the Woolery project being on the county court's agenda. It appears they have decided to move their project to Washington, or is this a separate project as presented on the Goldendale Chamber's webpage? Here's what it says. Woolery project in Goldendale is an exciting and innovative aimed at revitalizing the local community through sustainable practices and innovative solutions. This project focuses on transforming the former Columbia Gorge aluminum smelter site into a hub for clean energy and economic development. By leveraging the area's natural resources, the Woolery project aims to create jobs, support businesses, and contribute to the region's renewable energy goals. The phone number listed does not belong to Rod McGuire. It is difficult to believe the Woolery project in Goldendale is a separate endeavor when after a decade, the first hasn't gotten off the ground. Also, am I to assume the Woolery has cut ties with Representative Greg Smith, whom they claim to be working with at the previous court meeting when they refused to participate in the Kelly nonprofit consulting? With Representative Smith's recent issues, I would find any collaboration with him concerning. And then she lists that website, which I did go on and look at that website, and it doesn't appear to be the same project, but we will verify that with the Woolery.
Okay. All right, let's continue with the written correspondence, and then we'll get to the individual, correspondence, people who are, or public comment who are here. We have I think that's all of the written. Is there anyone online who has any public comment?
I believe, so, I just will bring up, Les Rourke mentioned, some kind of a train alert system app. We discussed it at the CAC meeting last night, but I think Anya looked into it and it's not available for out here.
Just Southeast Portland.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, but Marta actually was gonna look into it further, so. Cause I think that was an email he sent to the court, to everyone, wasn't it?
You know, I think it came at 8 o'clock. Is that the one that came at 8 o'clock last night? I was in bed at 8 o'clock last night.
It
So I haven't
was,
seen
it was
it.
a couple days ago.
Okay.
He just sent it to the, CAC members.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, that's where we had our CAC meeting last night, so we discussed it.
All right, we also have a quarterly report from Kelly Nonprofit Consulting, which is included in the packet. And so, public comment for the general agenda, not the two public hearings, will happen at this time. Individuals wishing to address the county court may do so at this time and at other times throughout the meeting. Speakers are asked to raise their hand and be recognized by the chair, give name, and city, and limit their comments to, we say 3 minutes? 3 minutes. Okay, the first person on the list is Haley Andrews. Would you like to come up?
Haley Andrews, Director of the Condon Early Learning Center, 609 South Main in Condon. I'm the one who was at work at 8 p.m. last night. I sent you an email after looking at the agenda on the website. And if that's okay, I'll just read my email. Dear Judge Patno, Commissioner Watkins, and Commissioner Wilkins, the Condon Early Learning Center appreciates your willingness to include a line item dedicated to supporting childcare providers in Gillum County. As you know, the idea of a childcare endowment received strong community support during the county court's recent town halls. A recognition of the critical impact high-quality childcare plays in supporting healthy and safe kids, working families, local businesses and organizations, and the broader community. Consistent and dependable operational funding is critical to ensure childcare providers in both Condon and Arlington can continue to offer these valued services at tuition rates that are affordable for Gillum County families. With that in mind, we would like to propose the county court consider approaching childcare funding in the same way it has historically approached funding for the homestead rebate program. That is, in addition to the line item dedicated to funding childcare providers each year, we respectfully request the county court establish a separate account, similar to the homestead rebate endowment fund, where a percentage of waste management host fees could be transferred each year to create a childcare endowment fund. Gillum County has used this approach successfully for the homestead rebate program over the past 30 years, paying current rebates and building a substantial endowment reserve without impacting county services nor the ability to invest in other county priorities. I also wanted to clarify whether, with the line item approach, we would need to apply for an operational support grant each year. We appreciate Gillum County's continued support of Condon Early Learning Center and the children and families we serve. So we had some questions about how that line item would work too. If there'd be, so I don't know if we're.
Well, I think everyone can address this, but we did at a prior county court meeting about a month ago, indicated that we were going to enlist the assistance of the budget committee to help us through the process with how those line items would work, and whether or not an endowment would be created within or outside of Gillum County. So that's as I remember it. Each of us can speak to that. Yeah,
Okay.
that's where it got left at, was whether or not. Yeah, so I really appreciate your input.
My is to have the endowment outside of the county funds into
With, I guess, grant season around the corner and with what's on the agenda today with not being able to use operational support grants for payroll, we're really curious about what that line item would look like for this year.
I do want to clarify that what's in the packet here is simply a recommendation to the county court. We've taken no action and won't until we get to that part of the agenda. So I would say, let's wait till we get to that portion of the
Okay.
agenda and then move forward from there.
Okay,
Okay?
so,
We support childcare,
yes,
as we always have.
okay.
Okay?
So when we get to that issue, are we gonna, can we speak again? Or
Well, we have a county court meeting on April 2nd in Condon. And if there's anything that we need to address that comes out of this meeting, we will put it on the agenda for the next meeting, or we may allow some public comment depending upon how that goes. Okay?
I am still confused. So are you voting on that today of whether or not to accept that recommendation?
We're gonna have to hear what the committee has to say about it.
Okay.
Okay?
So can I provide public comment on how that would impact childcare if we were to
How
have
are we
to?
doing on time?
We're over.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll make sure you have an opportunity to speak when we get to that portion.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, we also have Mike Callen.
It's okay if I speak from back here.
We have the mic up here, sorry.
I'm loud enough. I'm Mike Cowan, Arlington, Oregon. A couple of weeks ago, I was in a meeting with the county court up here on various things. And brought up the issue of Greater Oregon, voting on Greater Oregon. I was told that you would be taking it up. I haven't seen that, but I missed last month's meeting. And so I come today to ask you to take up the issue of Greater Oregon. We're only one of 2 counties in Eastern Oregon that haven't voted for it. I'd like to see us go on record one way or the other, being in favor or opposed to Greater Oregon. Personally, I would be in favor of it as a statement of protest. Carries very little weight other than that. But once again, we're in the legislative session and we see all kinds of laws coming out from the I-5 corridor that don't benefit Eastern Oregon. And I think it's time that we at least make a statement in Gillum County as to whether or not we carry any weight out here or not. And this is one way to do it.
I think one of the questions we had at the court meeting, I think we kind of touched on this briefly, was how did that come to the other counties? You know, was it a group that?
In some cases, well, going back to the history, I don't know how much time I have left here, but going back to the history, the counties along the Idaho border who get their television from Boise and are more connected to that time zone than this time zone, decided that Oregon was passing a lot of laws that didn't benefit them, and they would rather go that way. So it was kind of started as an intent to, I believe, to say, you know, we've had enough. We want to move to our neighbors.
So did the
and then that
constituents
spread.
in the counties,
The
did they
way
push it?
the way some of them did it, I know, was through a petition process.
Okay.
But I'm not sure that all of them did it that way. I think some were initiated by the county courts themselves. And so I don't know why we haven't got involved in that. I will say this, that it has drawn national attention. And the last time there was a vote on any of this, it was in the national media. So you have to kind of be prepared. It's not going to be just a local story. It's not just going to be a Gillum County thing. But in some ways, that's a good thing. You know, what is it? any press is good press, you know. You get your name out there, people might start looking a little more at, Gillum County and what it has to offer.
Okay.
But anyway, it's, to my knowledge, it's been through petition, through initiation, and I'm here to say, there's at least one voter I'd like to see us get it on the ballot and make a decision. Right now, we're sitting in an island. All the counties around us have voted for it.
Well, there you are, you can be the petitioner and go around.
Okay, well, if I have to do that, I will, but I would prefer just, bring it to you and have.
Because I don't have a problem putting it on the ballot.
Yeah, that's, it's like I said, it's more of a statement. Because we really have no say in Portland, in Salem, it's the I-5 corridor that has all control.
So what we could do is just take it up at the next meeting as an agenda item and just decide how we want to move forward. Yeah, would that be okay? So we will do that.
Meanwhile, maybe do some research on it, Mr. Cowan.
Pardon?
Mr. Cowan, extra teacher, do some research on it so you can come to the meeting
You
and,
want me to do some research on
yeah, that would be great if you could.
Okay, next we have Hannah Bass.
I think mine can wait, Chris.
You do?
Till we hit that.
Okay,
agenda
we're,
item.
are you here for the,
I
um,
sure am, yeah.
the grant process? Okay, we'll make sure that we have an opportunity for additional comment when we get to that.
Thank you.
All right, and David Greiner.
I would be in the same situation.
Okay, all right. All right, that is all of the general public comment. We have Kimberly Lindsay, update on community counseling solutions. Come on up.
Good morning.
Morning.
I am recovering from a cold and laryngitis, so my voice is mostly here, but might crack a little bit, so just warning. So Anya said I had 20 minutes, but I think I can do it in 15. So I'm gonna put my clock up here in front of me so that I can be thoughtful about that. So right. Mostly what I have are just informational updates. And I sent everything in. I'll try to periodically check and see if you have any questions. But do stop me. Just again, being thoughtful about time. So the first item is, it's just a pamphlet. As you will recall, Gillum County opted into the deflection program, Measure 110. I'm just summarizing and taking some shortcuts. It decriminalized a lot of drugs. The deflection bill recriminalized many things, but it had a deflection program component. So this is the brochure that was put together for Gillum County. I just wanted to provide that to you and let you know that we haven't had much of any activity in deflection referrals. Not criticism. The sheriff is here. I don't want to put him on the spot. The plurals are largely dependent upon drug-related activity. And then those charges that are going to qualify. So some drug activity are not going to qualify. If you're pulled over and you have, I'm just making this up, but you have 100 fentanyl pills, you're not going to be eligible for deflection. So I hope to keep the deflection program in Gillum County, but I just would state that the numbers are very low and we recognize that. And so we'll see what happens at the legislature with those funds. Since the sheriff's here, is there anything to add to what I said?
Sounds good.
All right, thank you. Any questions on that?
So that was we got 45,000, wasn't it?
75.
Or 75, okay.
That's a 2-year dollar amount. So it's, oh, wait, we
Hold
gotta
on.
think about
We
that.
had
Maybe it's
150
75. Yeah,
to
so it's
start out.
75 a year.
We had to do
Yeah,
80,000.
yeah, sorry about
And
that.
it goes to 75 next year.
Yeah,
That was to implement it. Right.
yeah. Mhm.
Basically.
Yeah, you had 150, and we had about like 15 months with that, or 18 months, so it was more per month than what we'll have moving forward in July, 75,000 per year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the next document, I'm just going back through my my notes and documents that I keep each time I meet with you. I'm not sure that I shared with you the comments from our 100 Best survey. So this could be repetitive. If so, I apologize. I just couldn't find it. So these are every year CCS participates in the 100 Best Nonprofit survey. It's a voluntary survey, so it's not every nonprofit in Oregon, just to be clear, just those entities that do participate. We're ranked as a large nonprofit, so we get compared against other nonprofits. The rankings and data are helpful. I did share that with you, but I'm not finding where I shared the comments. So the comments are the things that the employees said. You have 2 columns. Generally, you have what makes the organization great, as well as what would you like to see CCS improving. Could be good bedtime reading. I don't know. Do you have any questions or comments on the comment?
No,
Okay,
went through it last night.
awesome.
I don't have a.
All right, CCS is a zero suicide agency. Zero suicide, again, is a national movement around ending suicide. So we know that zero might be a little aspirational, but as I said to you before, 1 is not okay. So hence the name zero. Every time I meet with you, I try to talk about zero suicide just for a moment. That's a super important topic. And we put out a newsletter now. So included in your packet is the newsletter. We have a great story from an employee on the QPR training, which I hear Dillon County is going to do. So thank you very much for that. I think it's important, so we're excited to deliver the QPR training.
Could you go over what QPR is? So
Yeah.
that they understand, it just came to our staff meeting, so our staff is gonna take part. I don't think the commissioners
The
are aware.
commissioners know?
Mhm.
Well, the next document in your packet has the trainings, and there's a very brief summary in there on QPR. But also the employee, Nancy's story is the title in this newsletter, talks about the benefits of QPR. So QPR, it's a 2-hour training. It's designed for lay people to give we some tools on how to have a conversation with somebody who might be struggling. So I like to use the grocery store analogy. I think that most of us have been there. You're talking with somebody in the grocery store and you just say casually, "Hey, how's your day?" And the person says, "Oh, I've had better." Sometimes we're in a hurry. We have these pressing things that are going on in our life, and we will say something like, well, we might ask, but we try to show them that the glass is half full, not empty, and to put a positive spin on it. Well, at least whatever it is they describe, if they describe anything, it's not that bad, or tomorrow will be better. And I'm not saying that that's the wrong thing to do, but it doesn't acknowledge the struggle that they're experiencing in the moment. And it can be a missed opportunity if they're seriously thinking about harming themselves. That conversation is probably not going to move them away from harming themselves. So QPR question, persuade, refer. So ask the question, what's going on, and then spend a few minutes talking with them about, persuading them to reach out and get some assistance, and then maybe making that connection through a referral. So in Nancy's story, she talks about, again, this is a CCS employee. All CCS employees are required to take QPR. She describes well, actually, she's talking about her EAP, so let me back up on that, but one of the things that she had shared with me that she's struggling with was how to have a conversation with a person in her life who was really struggling with depression, and she felt that QPR had helped her with that. Does that answer your question? Yes, kind of, okay. And then mental health first aid, so this flyer is just trainings that we're doing and promoting through that. All right, the next document is our warm line quarterly report. I give these to you depending upon when I meet. So that you can see the data that comes in on the warm line. That's a statewide resource. 20,000 calls in the last quarter, which I just love those numbers from the warm line. And that it's a CCS program. So there are, I feel like we're in a state of constant audit. Either some financial audit or some, program audit. On the addiction side, we get audited by about 4 different entities. So the state audits us for addictions work. The Criminal Justice Commission audits us for any addictions work that we do if we are serving the criminal offender population, which we are in Gillum County. So it's kind of 2 audits on the same program. And this is the substance use audit in front of you. It's a summary of the audit. And actually, sorry, this is the Batterers Intervention Program audit. So the good news is that we had like the lowest score and the highest score this year. Lowest score for risk that they've given and the highest score for responsivity. So that's great. But in general, we have work to do on this program. So we're sending 2 employees to go to the national training. It's about $5,000 per employee. So a bit expensive, but we want to make sure that we pass this audit. So want to let you know that's the work that we are doing. We don't get many people referred in Gillum County to the Batterers program, but we want to make sure that it's a service that's available when circuit or justice court does refer someone. And if you're going to do Batterers treatment, then you got to have this. So any questions or comments on that? All right, burn dollars. This is again a part of Measure 110. All of the marijuana tax dollars that Oregon gains goes to burn behavioral health recovery network for treatment. The last go around, it was a 2-year grant. This time it's a 4-year grant. I actually shared this document with you prior. I just wanted to have it in your head in case you wanted to refer to it. So Gillum County was reviewed by the state, our application, as well as another entity that put in for funding in the month of February. And CCS was approved. There's another entity that was also approved. They do telehealth only. It looks like they were approved for about $30,000 per year. I think it's great to have choice. So good for an individual to be able to go to CCS or to this telehealth provider. My struggle is that they provided services to one individual in Gillum County in the last 2 years. So it's a good operating margin, I guess, if you're in business, right? To 30,000 for one person. But anyways, just leave my comments there. So we're excited to offer burn services again for the next 4 years in Gillum County. And we have one more meeting coming up with the state to review the dollars. Any questions on that? Hey, and then the next document was the funding levels. The next several documents, I just give you information on the different residential programs that CCS offers. I won't go over each one of them individually. But happy to answer any questions. And then we have our customer satisfaction survey results. We do those every quarter. This is the fourth quarter results from last year. Next time I meet with you, you'll have, depending upon when I meet with you, possibly first and second quarter from this year. It shows all of the counties, but you know, obviously specifically you have Gillum County. It is a voluntary survey. There were 3 individuals that responded for Gillum County. And people either agreed or strongly disagreed, and there was one neutral comment. There was no specific actual comments. There was just one neutral response. Any questions on the customer satisfaction survey? Okay. And then I always let you know about any grants that we apply for. We did apply for one that would allow us to hire a bilingual, bicultural Spanish-speaking clinician for folks that come into services in Gillum County. We do offer that now. It'd just be a bit of a struggle to get them in because we don't have a person that's specifically dedicated for Gillum. This person that we hire would not be dedicated to Gillum too, to be clear. They'd be divided up between a couple of counties, but there'd be a lot greater access and easier to get them in. And I believe that's it. And I think I'm 1 minute shy of 15 minutes. So
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
question.
I was looking, there was a lot of comments from Umatilla County.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you for doing what you do. You have a passion we worked together for a long time.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I just want to say thank you for
Thank
what you
you.
do.
Thank you for letting us do what we do in Gillum County.
Just for the public, Gillum County's, charged with, mental health, behavioral health services, addiction services, and community counseling solutions provides that service. So it's a pass-through grant, pass-through funding through Gillum County that's passed directly to community counseling solutions, which serves Gillum, Wheeler, Grant, Umatilla. How many more counties?
Morrow.
More. You did
Okay.
great.
Okay,
You did
good.
great. Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Kimberly.
Yep.
All right, item 3.2 on the agenda. Let's go back to discussion regarding the Woolery and Kelly Nonprofit Consulting Services. Commissioner Watkins.
Okay, so on February 19th, Kristen Monahan from Kelly Nonprofit Consulting reached out to me and provided this, which is on the website for people if they want to look at it. Talking about how things were going. And then she was asked by a community member if they had the capacity to have to work with the Woolery. So I went back to her and asked her, I said, who was the person that reached out to her? And she said that it was Caitlin Kennedy. So I reached out to Caitlin, and Caitlin said that, let me find her email, sorry. She said, I had a chance to connect this week with Rod McGuire of the Woolery, Friends of Woolery. I was curious if there was a capacity for the Kelly nonprofit to potentially lean in and support this nonprofit. When I asked Rod why he didn't initially pursue the support through the initiative, he said he just didn't understand enough about it. Is there if there isn't any space in 2025, could there be in 2026? And then I think she came back and told me that let's see. Sorry, I'm going back and forth. That she originally said that the Ford Family Foundation had actually worked with them, and that, I think that's how they had the grant writer that they used. And I believe she said that they were wanting to use the Kelly nonprofiting so they could potentially go out and get donors such as wind farms, companies and stuff like that. So I told her that they had been approached to begin with about using Kelly nonprofit. They had declined to use those services early on, and then it was brought up during the January meeting of 2024. And I think they still had declined. And when they came to us in August and asked for 175,000, I believe, Chris, you asked them if they were interested in using the Kelly nonprofit, which at that time they had declined it. So the reason I'm bringing it to the court is I'm not opposed to them using the Kelly nonprofit. I just want to make sure that, first of all, it is going to be in Gillum County, and second of all, are they really serious about using these tax dollars that they were totally opposed to before to use them? I think if people get on and look at they'll see that the Kelly nonprofiting has been doing lots of good things for our nonprofits here in Gillum County. So
Commissioner,
I thought that was something that I needed to bring to the court.
Commissioner Wilkins, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I haven't heard any contact or anything, and I know there was kind of some confusion with the Goldendale thing too. But I think that's a separate entity. That they were thinking that the Woolery here was trying to possibly build or seek funds over there in Washington, but that's not the case, my understanding. And yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's available for them if they want to
Right.
try to reach it,
Right.
so.
And my thoughts would be that, you know, it's available to all nonprofits. There was another entity, I believe it was the Historical Society, that had their own grant writer. And initially they didn't want to use Cali nonprofit, and then came back and said they did want to, and we allowed that. My caveat would be verification that their project will occur in Gillum County. If we're using public funds to fund this, it should, the end result should be, the plan for an entity in Gillum County. Everyone else has intangibles that they are, using the funds for, such as board development, grant, technical assistance, that sort of thing. But the result of this one will be something that's tangible, and that will be a building. So, I just want to make sure that the plan is that it's going to be here.
Yeah.
So can you follow up? Could you please?
Yeah.
And get
So
something
is
in
it the
writing?
consensus of the court, if they're not building out of the county and they are committed to this process, that the court is not opposed to them using those services?
It is a consensus. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Does everybody agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give it that.
All right.
And I'll let, Kristen know.
Thank you. So you're gonna follow up with him?
Yes.
Please, thank you. Grow Gillum County Quarterly Report, Kelly Nonprofit Consulting.
That's just that.
In the packet is a quarterly report for Kelly Nonprofit Consulting, which details the entities which they've assisted and where they are in their assistance to those entities. Consent agenda.
And I would encourage everybody to go on and look at this. They've done a lot.
Is the screen?
Ask her a question.
Yes.
By you saying use of public funds, does that mean the use of this nonprofit, Kelly nonprofit?
Use of public funds.
Gillum County is paying for Cali Nonprofit
Right, but
Consulting,
that's-
which is allowing the entities to use them as consultants, yes. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay,
It does.
yeah. Mhm. Right. And I think we've been billed, like, is it 60,000? I would
So
have to ask
far.
our financial,
I think
I've
we
seen it.
received two bills. They're both between like 35 to 40,000. So we're just about at the $80,000 mark for the past 2 quarters combined.
okay. And so for this fiscal year, it will be under what we expect, I expect. So, okay.
Yes.
Consent agenda, we have minutes from the February 19th meeting and March 5th. Also, Sheriff Betancourt, there's 3 items, and I just want to give the sheriff, although we would be voting on the consent agenda as a whole, I want to make sure that the sheriff has an opportunity to address anything he would like to address on his 3 items. That is NORTEC Intergovernmental Agreement Renewal 2025, the ratification of the NORTEC 2024 agreement, and the North Gillum Rural Fire Protection District lease amendment.
I just came just in case you
Okay.
had any questions.
Okay. All right.
I have one quick question on the amended lease was just because of the amount, wasn't it?
Yes, it
The
has
final.
the amount of the construction costs,
Right.
and those are real now, where they were estimated before.
Okay,
So that's the only change.
So on the lease, the way I read the lease, $2,000 a month, basically, there will be, we will not have to pay the $2,000 a month in exchange for the work that we've done for 10 years.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes. To be renegotiated or revisited in January.
So there is a clause we can revisit it.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Because 10 years times $2,000. Yeah.
Close.
No, we're not close to what we put into it, but I don't think that was necessarily the intent. I think part of it is we're taking a building that we're, an existing building, not being new construction, which is cheaper. We're giving it a useful purpose. And I think that there's some value in that alone. So, but I just want to make sure that there is some opportunity to discuss, since we put $710,000 into it. And that 2,000, that's $240,000. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, and we can discuss it in the
Mhm.
budget meeting, but
Mhm.
I'm still showing in my budget, sheriff's office budget of that $2,000 amount.
Uh-huh,
It's just $25,000,
okay.
and then that's taken out
okay.
by the finance department, I guess, and put back into investment or wherever that money came from. I don't know if that's the way it should be done, but.
We'll talk about it.
It's in there.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any other questions?
all righty.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. We're to the point of public hearing on the strategic investment program agreement with Leaning Juniper Wind Power 2 LLC. The public hearing on the strategic investment program agreement with Leaning Juniper Wind Power LLC is now called to order. The county court would like to hear from the public on the issue during this hearing. The public hearing is your opportunity to comment on the proposal before the county court makes a decision. We want to hear what you have to say. We want to hear your point of view. If you wish to comment on this hearing item, you'll have the opportunity to do so at this time. All persons commenting must be recognized by the judge. Speak clearly and slowly and state your name and address for the record. Your comments will be limited to 3 minutes. At this time, are there any conflicts of interest in this matter among the county court? Okay. All right. We will begin with the public testimony at this time. I have a list of those who have signed up to testify. Catherine Greiner.
Morning. So on your current SIP is, the city of Condon has received about 100,000 less this year from previous years. So we got about $180,000 this year in SIP. I noticed in your strategic plan that hasn't been changed, and in all the meetings, housing is extremely important. I am urging you to keep the strategic plan where the city of Condon still receives strategic investment funds. And I'll give you a couple of examples of what we've used it for. So when you drive down Main Street of the city of Condon, all those facades improvements that were done from 2012 to 2016 were paid for by the SIP funds. It's a complicated of how we did that. We used the SIP funds and waste management funds to do some infrastructure projects. And in the meantime, we spent that money on that project. The second one too is the housing, the baseball field project. So we came in and got a grant on the capital improvement grants, which I am hoping that housing is still going to be important on that one also too. But the baseball field project, we came in and got a $200,000 grant to put in infrastructure at the baseball field. Divided it out, made 6 lots. Currently, we have 2 single-family homes. We have 2 duplexes that are occupied, 2 homes that are occupied, and we have 2 fourplexes that are about to be rented this year. So when we came in and got the grant, it was about 200-some thousand from the county, and we put in 180,000 of our money to get that infrastructure in. That money will be paid back to us as the city within 17 to 20 years. On taxes that are being collected to the city of Condon. I didn't go in and look and see what the tax rate is for the county, but I am guessing your $200,000 investment will also be refunded based on those taxes that are going to be collected in that neighborhood. So I'm just urging you to go by what you heard at your town halls, what you have in your strategic plan, and please keep the south end, or the cities. Arlington, I think, would be in the same boat, that we would get still a portion of the SIP funds. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carrie Shadowitz. Actually, I am not presenting today.
Mhm.
I will be honest, I signed on the wrong sheet, so. All right, thank you. David Griner.
Would this be the time to talk about the importance of SIP funds going towards Summit Springs Village?
You can address that if you'd like to,
Okay.
yes.
David Reiner, Mayville, and I sit on the board for Summit Springs Village. And I just want to express how important Summit Springs Village is to Gilman County, and how important and how appreciative we have been in the past for grant monies that come, that the court has given. We've received, when I say we, Summit Springs Village has received operational support grant money, capital investment grant money, and special projects grant. Is it my understanding that you're considering taking away wages, salaries, and benefits from the SIP as far as those grants?
I think what you might be addressing is the grant process
So this is the
in
improper
general,
time
but
for
that's
this?
okay. I brought
Okay.
you up here.
All
so-
right, I'll just keep going then.
Yeah,
Our budget for 2025 for Summit Springs Village was 1.4 million. The wages and salaries and benefits was $929,457. That's 57% of our budget for the wages. Summit Springs Village has 27 employees. And I know the importance of becoming self-sufficient, and through the direction of Hannah Bass, who I might add, just had a deficiency-free state survey, which is just so commendable. And that place is just, it's a wonderful place. And they employ 27 employees, and those people aren't getting rich by any means. And I wish we could give them $100 an hour. The starting wage for an employee at Summit Springs Village starting is $17 per hour. And they take care of our most prized possessions. I just want you to consider, when you get to that item, I implore you to not take away the money for the wages for those hardworking people. So that's, anyway.
Thank you.
Too bad.
Thank you.
all right, Darren Kavanaugh.
Good morning, I'm Darren Kavanaugh, I'm with Avangrid Power, and my address is 7417 Southwest Addy Lane in Portland, Oregon. And I'm here to discuss the potential investment in the upgrade of the existing Leaning Juniper 2B wind farm. This is an asset that's been operating in the county for almost 15 years now, and we're assessing an opportunity to significantly upgrade that infrastructure facility. The investment would be between 170 million and 190 million to catch more wind, make the project more efficient, and extend the life of the project. We think it's very important for the county in ensuring that continued infrastructure investment takes place, that our long-term jobs that are in the county are protected and remain over an extended period. We think there's at least 25 years of additional life if we're able to do the upgrades that we plan for the repower. And I think the construction works associated with the repower are also very beneficial for the county. I think we see an injection, like I said, of 170 to 190 million. Full mobilization will bring up to 200 contract workers with highly skilled electrical workers, excavation, civil works, disposal works. So we think that's also a big potential benefit for employment in the county. And obviously those contractors and workers will be using county services. The SIP is very important to this potential investment for Avangrid. I think the investment climate right now is uncertain. And so anything that we can do to have certainty around long-term costs for a project is very beneficial. So this could be very important to our investment decision in proceeding with it. And I think by considering this, I should have started with thank you for considering this and thank you for getting us to the point where we have an opportunity to present this. By considering it and approving this, you're making Gillum County a competitive place for continued infrastructure investment, which I think is great. And balancing economic growth with new investment, retaining long-term jobs and bringing community benefit in the form of local improvement payments and community service funds. So I think I'll leave it at that.
Great.
Thank you for
So
your
I
consideration.
had a couple questions. I just was like, how long was that existing project there before you have to repower it? It's been in operation for.
Almost 15 years. I think the original COD was in early 2011.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're reaching a point where it's time for a technology upgrade.
Okay.
And, you know, we're an operator with a lot of experience with projects. And as they get to the 15 to 20 year mark, you start to get a lot more maintenance issues. They become more difficult to keep online. So we're seeing making these investments a little bit early helps reduce those maintenance costs. And obviously it's an opportunity for us to, like I said, catch more wind.
So do they go up and they replace the, at the top of the turbine?
Yeah, we're gonna be replacing all the major components within this nacelle. So we're gonna be changing out the rotor and the main shaft. So that'll be a longer blades for the project, which is the key to catching more wind and getting more production. Well, we're also changing out the gearbox and refurbishing the generator. So yeah, those are the big pieces for the investment.
And this looks like you'll get another hopefully 15 to 18 years after this.
Yeah. That's right. I want to get 25, but yeah, at least 15 to 18, I'm definitely comfortable with that.
Great. Thank you. You and I have talked a lot, so we don't really need to talk anymore.
Yeah, and I don't know if Assessor Wilkins is on the line as well, but.
Yes,
Yes, yeah.
did you want Tom to come up with you or?
I can come up to answer any questions or.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
don't have
know.
any separate.
Yeah, let's go ahead and finish those who need to speak, and then I'll ask the assessor if he has anything to speak. So we'll have Tom Russell come up. If you have anything to add, you don't.
No additional at this
Okay.
time.
Okay.
Sign in the.
You're the tax and money person
Yes,
for
yes,
Avangrid, okay?
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
And Chet Wilkins, Gillum County Assessor, did you have anything to add? It's not on. Not on? Okay, all right.
I'm here. Hold on.
Okay.
We're here.
All right, do you have anything to add? We're in the public hearing at this time.
The only thing I would add that our experience working with Darren and Tom has been much better than what we've expected or experienced with Avangrid in the past, and we appreciate, how they presented themselves.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Professor Wilkins.
And I would also like to state this was on my desk when I walked in the door on June 11th. At a very volatile time for Gillum County, so we took this on. It's taken months to work through this, to get up to speed with Business Oregon, who Artfish has been very helpful in walking us through the process. We've had the agreement reviewed by legal counsel. It's fully vetted. There was a lot of back and forth with Mr. Kavanaugh and I to get to this point. It's a good agreement. It'll help the community. I think that we made good strides. So the problem with the SIP agreements, I will tell you, is they're 15 years old. One of my goals is I'm going to leave with the understanding that there will be SIP agreements in the future when I'm done with this job, that I leave good notes for the people coming on, because the last time there was a SIP agreement here was in 2016. And then being 15 years old, there's no information of how negotiations take place and how the process works. And it does evolve through legislature, and there are changes that occur, but I just want to say that that's something I hope to leave. All right, is there any other public comment?
I didn't sign up.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you signed, and then we have to turn this into business for you, that's why, so.
So,
Okay, first say your name and your,
yeah, Tiffany Wilkins, I'm with the operating engineers 701. I'm from Arlington, Oregon. We are in full support of Avangrid, all the SIP that they bring. We have got Mortensen working up right now on the first 2A, and they have people from Fossil. They have people from Condon, Arlington, Heppner. There's a lot of local work going on up there. So we just, as 701, want to show our support.
thank you. All right, any other public comment? The public hearing on the strategic investment program agreement with Leaning Juniper Wind is now closed for additional comment. We do have two motions before you. Do we have any other discussion with the agreement itself? We have an agreement, and then we have a resolution. So we'll have two motions. The first motion is in your packet, and it's under 5.0. There's a suggested motion.
I move to approve the strategic investment program agreement with Leaning Juniper Wind Power 2 LLC as presented.
I will second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the strategic investment program agreement with Leaning Juniper Wind Power 2 LLC. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Now we have the resolution.
I'll move to approve resolution R 2025-03, requesting the Oregon Business Commission exempt Leaning Juniper Wind Power 2 LLC from property taxation under the Strategic Investment Program as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution R 2025-03. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I will say, I do believe the resolution is a bit misleading because, we will get, a good return on the investment. So, although there's tax exemption, of course, we receive payments from the company. Thank you very much. We'll send everything to Business Oregon today. I'll be in touch with Artfish. And is there anything else?
No, yeah, I think we just need to sign and countersign ahead of the.
Yes, we'll make sure that we get the agreement signed. are you okay to stay till the end of the meeting when we do all of our signatures?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now, the second public hearing is regarding ordinance 2025-01 for fiscal year 2025-26, Gillum County Weed Control Special Assessment. This, the anticipation, this will be the first reading of that ordinance. We're going to open the public hearing on ordinance 2025-01 for the 25-26 Gillum County Weed Control Special Assessment. The public hearing is now called to order. The Gillum County Court will hear the public on this issue during the hearing. The public hearing is your opportunity to comment on the ordinance before the county court makes a decision. We want to hear from you, hear what you have to say, and provide your point of view. If you wish to comment on the hearing item, you will have the opportunity to do so. All persons commenting must be recognized by the judge. Please speak clearly and slowly and state your name and address for the record. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Are there any conflicts of interest? No conflicts of interest?
Other than my brother's a weed master.
Okay. Right. We have a briefing in our packet. Is there any comments from the public on the ordinance? No comments? All right. I will then close the public hearing. We have a briefing in the,
So I just have a question.
Mhm.
Is it, or maybe Doug can answer. Is it always just 7 cents an acre? Or is that,
The
does
only way
that,
it can be raised is if I'm sorry, if the county court raises it,
okay.
because it was set in 1936,
oh, wow.
so.
I just wonder if there's every time that
It's
maybe.
about 45,000 a year
Mhm.
is what we get in taxes, so the rest of it's gotta be made up with work that we do.
Yeah, because according to this, it's 47,000.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was looking at last year.
Okay. Are there any other comments? Okay.
I'm not.
Public hearing has been closed and there is a suggested motion in the briefing. Actually, there will be 2 motions.
I'll move to ask the judge to perform the first reading of ordinance number 2025-01 by title only.
I'll second the motion. It has been moved and seconded to ask Judge Padno to perform the first reading of ordinance 2025-01 by title only. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I'm going to be. I moved to. Okay, I'm going to read it by title only. In the Gillum County Court for the State of Oregon for Gillum County, in the matter of a special weed assessment within Gillum County for fiscal year 2025-2026, ordinance number 2025-01. Motion 2 is presented in the briefing as well. Motion number 2.
Yeah, I move to accept the first reading of ordinance number 2025-01 by title only and to schedule a second reading at a public hearing on April 2nd, 2025.
Second. It has been moved and seconded to accept the first reading of ordinance number 2025-01 by title only to schedule a second reading of the public at a public hearing on April 2nd, 2025. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Right. Second hearing is on April 2nd. Thank you. 7.0, unfinished business, update on employment transition, non-exempt employees. Brooklyn Griffith, Finance Director, will be addressing the court on this matter. She's online.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes.
I guess I have to apologize because I do not think that I got the LOA that we received from the union on Monday in your packets.
Okay, you're just providing an update, so
So
thank
really,
you.
yes, I just have an update right now.
Okay, go ahead and give the update.
Really, the update is that we met with the LOA or with the union last Friday. They were in support of it. They provided us with an LOA that just speaks to the wage schedule update, which was moving our hourly employees to salaried employees. The setback was the effective date that they currently have on the LOA. Right now, it says effective July 1, 2025. I think we're still trying to work that in a little bit earlier. With that being the absolute last date that it would occur. Is there any input from you guys on the date that it occurs?
I have no input.
Perfect.
I will look to you with your discussions with the union.
Okay. And then the second portion of that LOA is just the wage scale increase. We proposed to her at that meeting, the 3.5%, of course, which would not be approved and adopted until it went through the budget committee, but they were good with that 3.5%. So that is the other portion of that LOA is the 3.5% COLA increase effective July 1, which really doesn't, I'm just giving you that update because it's included on the same LOA as the salary change. But that's just something we do every year anyways. So really, I have no other update. Sorry. We will work to create a policy based on the LOA from the union, which is also kind of what we were waiting for, just to see the terminology that they use. And then hopefully by the April 2nd meeting, I will have both the LOA and something from the county side of things for the non-represented employees for you guys to review and approve.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your work on that. Okay, new business, 8.0. 8.1 is status update and funding request. Ashley Bayless, Arlington Community Childcare. Come on up, Ashley.
All right. Hello.
I do want to state that in your packet is a written, I'm sure you've all seen it, letter.
That I'll read off too, if that's
Okay,
okay, because
fine.
I added some more and we have some new updates, so. First, Arlington Community Childcare wishes to extend our heartfelt appreciation to our community and county court for their unwavering support as we navigate these growing pains. Your collaboration is vital to our success, and we couldn't achieve any of this without you. We are diligently working to stabilize our operations while addressing the challenges that come with our new license. Currently, we are collaborating with Amy Ibarra, our licensing specialist, to secure exceptions and ensure our center meets the safety and needs of our community. And those exceptions are actually in effect as of today. So those exceptions we asked for are staffing duties for a center versus the certified family is what we were previously, and now that we're a center. So that we asked for that exception for 2 months to get staff up to date. So I personally am not having to be there, open to close. If there's an emergency, I do have a little one, stuff comes up. And so we did get that approved. And so we are fully staffed, and that is all good as well. Yeah, our team is fully staffed and we are focused now on enrolling more families, which right now we currently have 5 families, I believe, which is more than we had before. So I believe that was 7 kids in total. Our max is 16. So things are looking up.
Good.
Yes. But we are still focused on that, and however, due to our licensing requirements and the demands of daily operations, we do need additional support to remain sustainable. Unfortunately, we face ongoing expenses essential for our continued operations, such as groceries, legal fees, payroll for our trained and qualified staff, and supplies necessary to meet licensing standards for our curriculum. We didn't go with the route of buying a curriculum. We actually came up with a play-based curriculum to save cost and we got that approved as well, and everything is running great and smoothly. So we are still being a play-based center,
Okay.
which from the feedback of families and community members, that's what they decided as well. The board has also expressed the need for additional security cameras for the exterior, which adds another expense to our list. Ultimately, we are optimistic that with the county's support and our collaboration with the Kelly nonprofit group, we can refine our budget and improve our financial records to ensure our success and sustainability in the future. I also am enrolled in a 11-week class, like a business cohort in Hood River with the early childhood education of childcare partners. And after that class, they will give Arlington Community Childcare a $5,000 grant, which will help as well. And that starts today. Additionally, I'm actively seeking other special project grants that could help fund our playground and other essential needs. My primary concern is that while we have significantly reduced daycare costs to make it more affordable, which is fantastic, I fear that without an increase in families and grants, all our other efforts might lead to a situation where we have to close down due to financial constraints and the inability to support our staff. So in the stuff I gave you, I gave our pricing sheets. I don't know if you guys had a, but the part-time, so we do part-time, full-time, and hourly. Our part-time infant cost, which is 63 to 135 hours, is $400 a month. And these all include meals and snacks daily. Toddler part-time $350, preschool age $300, school age $250. Full-time for infant is $500, toddler $450, preschool age $400, school age $350. And then hourly, it's $5.50, $5, $4.50, and $4. And our families have been very happy with that. It's been more affordable, and they're very excited about that. But this is why we come to you again to ask for additional immediate funding. We believe that with your continued support, we can overcome these financial hurdles and secure a bright future for Arlington Community Childcare. Your investment in our center is an investment in the children and families of our community. By providing us with the necessary funding, you're helping to create a nurturing and safe environment where children can learn, grow, and thrive. We understand the importance of transparency and accountability, and we are committed to using any additional funds wisely and effectively. Our goal is to ensure that every dollar contributes to enhancing the quality of care and education we provide. We are confident that with the county's backing, along with our dedicated staff and community partners, we can achieve sustainability and continue to serve our community with excellence. Thank you for considering our request and for your ongoing support. I wrote some more. We are continually investing in our staff's professional development. We are all going to it's on a Saturday, to a conference for childcare. So we're continually taking classes and getting up to par with all of this. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for the trust and support you have shown us. It is this community spirit that fuels our determination to overcome any obstacles and keep moving forward. Together, we can build a brighter future for Arlington Community Childcare and all those it touches. So that's what I have written down. I did give you a rough budget of what our expenses have come up. I had to do that at the deadline, so it's very rough.
So in order for you to operate through, would be through June. Well, probably through July, because if we,
Right.
you know, with our funding, we would, grant those in August.
Mhm.
Between now and then,
We can.
I know, but what do you need? You said
Oh, yeah,
you're
yeah.
making, funding requests, so what is that funding?
So what from what I was talking, I think I was talking with Brooklyn and, the other previous meeting, I believe, I don't know if it still is in play, but there was money set aside from us, and I believe there was still left over. And so I don't know if we're able to.
Yeah, so what are you
use that.
requesting to get you through those
Yeah.
3 months?
So we had requested this, so we got the 75, I believe.
Right.
And that, by paying the bills and stuff, we, really helped us out for a couple months, but I do think if there is the 200,000 left, that we could use that. We have legal fees that have come up. We are suggesting, they have suggested that we get, a forensic audit to clean up our books and all of that, and so there is other large expenses. But that will hopefully hold us there and to keep our staff and not have to go back to ground one again.
Okay, so Brooklyn, are you still on? It's Brooke.
Yeah, yep.
No.
I am.
Yes, she said. So the 75,000, was that from the grant cycle before?
Yes, so the 75,000 was what was remaining from FY 24. In FY 25, an application was submitted.
Then we approved additional grant amounts this last grant cycle.
It was
right?
the grant application, was never pushed through the committee and reviewed and was never presented to you guys to be reviewed. So there was never funds, officially approved to be funded to the Arlington Learning Center, but there is 220,000 remaining in the FY 25 operational support budget, which was kind of earmarked for Arlington Childcare. But no, there was never an official.
And then
motion
when
made.
everything happened, we just put that.
Yes.
So
there was.
I commend you guys for, the board stepped in, they cleaned everything up, you got your licensing going, everything, to me, you're going in the right direction now, thankfully, so, I don't have a problem with releasing the grant funds to them. I am one person.
Okay. I don't either, but they didn't, complete a grant. We didn't go through our end of the process, so, I would like us, just out of a matter of fairness, make sure that we go through, the entire process and actually grant the funds, at our next meeting, after it goes through the committee and they file complete an application.
Okay, so I'm confused, what happened to the original one that we
I
just
think we don't
froze?
have the same people in place now, so their goals have changed and I think it was.
I did, recently when I took over as the director, I did, submit an application.
Okay, so would that one still be current?
Yes.
Okay. I think it should go before the grant committee and then come back to us on April 2nd, unless you think we should just go ahead and approve it. I just haven't seen it. Can you get?
Looking at their financial stuff, they're in a
Okay,
dire situation,
I don't-
unless we
yeah.
release something to
okay.
them.
I mean, I'm not gonna leave the place, but
No.
my staff will, so
Okay.
it's like,
This is what I think we should do. We could get them $50,000 emergency funding and then that will get them by. And then we make sure we look at the application and approve it for how it's written. How does that sound?
I'm happy.
And we
with
could
that. Yeah,
release the
April
50,000
2nd,
now. How does that sound?
Sounds good. I just have one more question too. You were talking, there's still some legal stuff to get taken care of.
Mhm.
Any idea on the time and
It's,
dollars on that?
yeah,
Or just,
they're closing out now. I don't know if you guys have any, you have to be careful with what you say, but.
I can speak to it a little bit. Jeremiah Rogers, board member for Arlington Community Care. I live out of Ione, Oregon. I have been in touch both with the attorney and the charitable activities division, which I asked them to do an audit of us when I first came on board. And the Department of Justice Charitable Activities Division did start that process. As of their last reach out, from the beginning, they said it's not a short process. It's a lengthy thing. They wanted to go over all of our books for the last 3 years to see if there's any variances, if there's any issues. They are at least over halfway through that project. So that they intend to start conducting interviews soon. The bank originally recommended that we do a forensic audit when I came on board. They were asked if there was any issues, and they said that they thought that there was, and that they should at least have it looked at for transparency. The attorney that we hired for counseling on the issue also recommended that if we could get a forensic auditor in touch with the Kelly nonprofit group, that those would be able to work together to really speed this whole process up and get everything lined out and accountable and presentable.
Okay, just to cover our bases and start fresh, really. And we're at the end of it, is what I see. So I'm finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, so I feel good about it. Yeah, and I'm more confident with our board and our staff than I ever have been. So.
Just making sure we're getting cleared up, so.
Right,
So
absolutely.
it's behind.
Yep.
Behind you.
So,
They just, because we don't want them to have to shut their doors.
After all this, that would
No.
really suck.
I would also like to say thank you for your effort. I know
Yes.
you've all worked very hard for the community of Arlington, so thank you. Because it's gonna build a great foundation under it when more employment comes, so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. So.
And I just want to add one more. We're building it with us being a center. And I have no plans of leaving, but if I were to leave, it wouldn't be shut down again like it would. We're making it where we have all of our ducks in a row. We have all of our paperwork, and everyone and anyone can see it, that needs to, so.
Okay. All right, thank you.
thanks, Ashley.
Is there any other comments before, so do we want to release the 50,000 now and then, have the grant application presented to us at the April 2nd meeting? Yeah. Okay.
Our meeting with the
Yeah.
motion. I move to release $50,000 to the Arlington Childcare for emergency funding. And then have them review the grant process with us.
I will second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded to provide emergency funding to the Arlington Childcare with a grant application before the county court at the April 2nd meeting. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Yes. Okay, item 8.2, repeal resolution 2020-14. This is a housekeeping item. This was going through all of our ordinances, orders, and all of the documents. We found it was a resolution regarding a state of emergency in Gillum County in response to COVID-19. So we reached out to legal counsel to see if we what we needed to do with this. And so the recommendation was that the ordinance, or excuse me, the resolution be repealed. So it is in front of you in R 2025-02. And there is in the briefing a suggested motion. Do you have any questions about it?
The only thing I was gonna ask you is, I know we talked about the ARPA funds before and that we have to expend them by the end of this year. I had somebody ask me if the ARPA funds weren't earmarked for something within the county, would the federal government come back in and take them back?
We checked the box that they could be used for any expense, and without me looking back on it, because we checked that box, if for some reason expenditure were not allowed, we could use it on general fund expenditures. So we would not have to return those funds. And that reporting will take place, I believe, in the month of April. Okay,
So, yes.
I didn't know if we just needed to say,
Mhm.
yes, we're gonna spend it, but, and this is where we're gonna spend it.
Yeah.
So, okay.
When you get into the portal, it's very specific of the projects they've already earmarked. The childcare expansion was part of it, the Common Early Learning Center, excuse me. And there were some Norcore funds. And then if anything goes awry with those expenditures, we can use it for general fund expenditures. We do not have to return them. I had to do quite a bit of research to figure out how to do this with other counties. And the important thing was that we did check that box. Okay, so.
And
So we could
they
use it
would be
for-
funds that would be allowable to use for the daycares too.
It could.
And just like Arlington's.
Yeah,
Childcare could be used as emergency funds for that.
right. And for some reason, if they rejected something, because they can reject an expenditure, we could use, the food pantry, we could use meal site, we could use law enforcement, things like that. The fact that we built the building showed, the fact that, you know, for law enforcement, social distancing, those things that were a part of the COVID response. Okay?
I move to approve resolution R 2025-02 as presented.
I will second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded, to approve resolution R 2025-02. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay. All right, 8.3, consider approval of amended competitive grant guidelines. Okay, we're gonna open it up for discussion, and let's begin. Brooklyn, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, so walk us through the information, and then we're going to take public comment on this.
Okay.
And kind of also, would you please walk through, the process of the grant review?
Yes. I guess just to start off, there have been, since the new court administration has come into play, there have been a lot of conversations had throughout the winter regarding the current grant guidelines, capital investment, operational support, and special projects, specifically those three. We've had a lot of good conversation regarding it. I think there's been a lot of input provided from community members and prior year applicants. When we began kind of compiling that information, we did send out a very short informal questionnaire to all prior grant recipients. I think we sent out 37, received about 5 back from folks, which provided good input. We took that information along with some of the other one-off conversations that had been happening, and then met with the grant review committee a few weeks ago and just kind of put our heads together and came up with these proposals based on conversations that have been had. Anything regarding that? I guess what would you like to know about the process? I can go over that at the end. Right now, my intention is just to go, I'm just going to go through the proposals right now, and we'll just go, I'll read a line of what we changed. And if there's any further discussion on a certain point, we can just stop and, I guess, talk more about that if that works.
Okay, go ahead.
So we'll just go into what we kind of provided for the capital investment grants. A large overview of that is just broadening the focus of the capital projects, removing that specificity on housing developments, early education, and shovel-ready industrial lands. We're just opening it back up to capital projects, to any nonprofit, taxing district, or government entity that has a capital project within Gillum County. Come forward with that. That's kind of the biggest change here in the capital investment grant lines, but some other things were just in the eligibility criteria for nonprofits. And then we added an additional requirements for successful nonprofit organizations, which is just providing proof of their federal standing as a nonprofit. Again, eligible grant uses, we just remove the specificity on housing developments, early education, and infrastructure projects on industrial lands. Again, this is not saying that those projects are no longer eligible. That is just saying we removed the specifics of those being the only projects we're going to fund, and opening it back up is the proposal.
Can I ask one question at this point in time?
Absolutely.
When then the focus was narrowed, it was limited to last fiscal year and our current fiscal year, correct?
I believe it was in 2022 that the guidelines changed to
Okay.
narrow it down to
Okay, all right,
just those ones.
okay.
Another big thing that comes with removing the housing and the childcare is that our suggestion is to update that match funding requirement to 25% for all capital projects. Prior, there was just some differings, it was like 50%, 30%, 25%, but now this suggested proposal is at 25% across the board. The other part of the funding process, I guess, is that we're suggesting to update the grant period to be determined by the project's complexity, which, and furthermore, meaning funds should be claimed and or expended within 2 fiscal years. Currently, how it reads is that funds should be expended by the end of the fiscal year that they're awarded. So say somebody applies right now, technically their grant ends on June 2025. So they have to come back before the county court, request an extension, which historically the county has approved those extensions with no issue. But with this proposal, we're hoping to kind of eliminate those back and forths, and we'll just have those conversations with applicants as they come in, depending on their project complexity, whether we want to end that agreement in this fiscal year or push it out to the next fiscal year, if that makes sense. Any questions there? Or on anything before? Perfect. The next portion is just,
I
yes?
think just part of that problem was the fact that when the money wasn't getting spent in the grant cycle, there wasn't good accounting of what we still had or,
Yeah,
left.
what was
Right.
left.
But I think we've alleviated that problem, right, Brooke?
Yes, absolutely. We have put in some processes in place that have made things a lot more efficient, and we're staying on top of that and working with grant recipients just to check in on their projects, and we know what is still outstanding between the fiscal years.
Yeah, because sometimes projects with all the good intentions just take longer than.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, like the school districts, they can't do any work until summer on a lot of their projects. So they're, already at a negative there, I guess, having to wait for that, but agreed with those. Another step that would kind of help with this is the next one, the review process. We're also proposing 2 grant cycles for the capital projects for the upcoming fiscal year. I think we have dates lined out just so that people who have these projects can better plan for said projects. When those applications come into the county court, we're kind of proposing a 2-month window be open for applications to come in, for folks to come to talk to the county court, have those open conversations with us, and then we review them twice a year, which also just gives us kind of a better idea of how much we've spent in comparison to our budget. That's our proposal. That's kind of a big change as well, because right now they're reviewed on a rolling basis as they come in. The suggestion would be 2 cycles.
And the reason that happened was because when it would open, nobody would apply. And then we felt like that, maybe as good ideas came along, that we were missing an opportunity to invest in them because we had such a closed up window of when they could apply. So they were missing out on it. And that was the reason we opened it. And I don't think there was a screaming amount of applicants for those projects.
No, and I think that it needs to be known that even if it's for all entities and for all grants, that if you have a project or an idea, that they can always come to county court and talk to county court. They don't have to wait until a grant cycle is open. That funding is there. This is just the guidance that we're providing, but it should be, or has always been, people can always come, even if it's in an off-cycle time, and say, hey, we've got this project, this is our idea, we're pushed up a timeline or whatever, and have those conversations with the county court. We're not saying that. And I think that folks just need to be aware that we're open to these conversations and that they can come and talk to us. Yes, is what I'm getting at there.
Can we put language in the grant applications that reflect that? That say, you know, these are our 2 open periods, but this is a process if you want to go outside of it.
Yeah.
If you want to come to the county court.
I'd support that. I think this would be a good time to bring up and I'm sorry to interrupt right in the middle of, but we're talking about spending and available funding, and through the budget process, I just think it's important to let the public know where we are sitting with our strategic investment fund agreements that we currently have in place. Most of us are aware that Shepherd's Flat is our big agreement, and that one generates over $3 million a year. We have the budget year we're working on, our next budget year, and one more. And then we don't have that money anymore in strategic investment program agreements because that will be the 15th year. So that money will likely roll into taxes and likely retain, because that was a repower. So because the project was repowered, it will have more value than it had it not repowered. So, but we have no data. We have no data. The projects are valued by the Department of Revenue. There's a lot of unknowns. So I'm just making everyone aware that we're coming upon a time in history. We'll look back on this time 10 years down the road and have a lot more information than we do today. So those are the things I'm looking at when I'm looking at the numbers. And we all knew that 15 years from the time Shepherd's Flat Agreement came into play, that we would be here. However, some things did happen. These projects started to be repowered. We have other agreements, but that's a huge amount of money, and it's a huge project because we're only receiving about $1 million more than that currently, and some specific agreements, and we only have 2 agreements right now, aside from the new Avangrid agreement. We have Montag, which expires in 2035, and Shepherd's Flat. So Montag is a much smaller project. And there was a component of that was a special payment that ends this year, which is $400,000 a year. So I had to really study all of this to see where we were, so I could explain it to you where we are. So go ahead, Brooke.
Okay, all right. The next part is within the funding decision portion of the guidelines. Our suggestion is that applicants seeking over $400,000 in funding on their capital projects preferably come to county court or the grant review committee and present in person on their project. So again, anything over $400,000 in funding, come to county court in person and present on that. The next thing is within the reporting section. This is just a suggestion that applicants may be provided signage from Gillum County that should be displayed at the site of the project. Something as simple as this project is being completed in part by funds granted by Gillum County, or something like that, just to provide a little bit of recognition to Gillum County and the work that they're doing in our communities, and the funding that they're providing in our communities. I think it's just a good recognition for Gillum County, and that's that suggestion. The next 2 are within the application in the attachment B. And this is across the board. So this is for capital, operational, and special projects. Within the application, it'll just be, we're suggesting a requirement of showing proof of incorporation for nonprofit organizations. And then also setting the volunteer hourly rate for in-kind matching to be Oregon's non-urban minimum wage. Or for specialized skills, their actual wage. That's everything for capital investment grant guideline updates. Are there any questions, concerns, thoughts on specifically the capital investment grant guidelines application or attachments?
Judge Patnode, Brooklyn, This is
Yes.
Sherry Wilkins, grant committee member.
Perfect.
Yes.
I'd like to just jump in for a minute and address some of the concerns that we've heard about. All the money goes to the south end of the county and not the north. And I just want to clarify that this is a grant application process. And if the people don't apply for these grants, then they can't be awarded. And I'd like for our nonprofits and the other entities that are eligible to look more into this and continue to use these funds. They're there, and we want to broaden the scope of the entire county. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
Can we ask questions on the grant, the capital project?
Yeah, as we go through them, so yes.
Or do you want to wait till after?
I think as we go, it would probably be better. One point of clarification I want to make is the capital investment grants and the operational support grants are derived from strategic investment program funds. That's how Gillum County long ago chose to spend some of their money that's budgeted. The north and south and special projects money comes from waste management. So just wanted to make sure. So I'm going to allow Catherine Brenner to ask her question right now.
I've got just a few on the capital projects. Is so the way it's written now without it being tied to goals, is it a first come, first served? And how are you going to rank them when you're not applying them to specific housing, childcare, or things like that? And my last one, this is, I just find it is going to be extremely subjective. And people are, and if it's gonna be first come, first served. My other thing too is your 2-year thing on a capital improvement project. If it's a large capital improvement project, and this is just part of the funding, that's not enough time. If you're gonna go out for funding, such as like, we're gonna go out for a pool here, maybe shortly, it's gonna take us longer than 2 years to gather all of our funding to do a multi-million-dollar project. Just so you know that.
Yeah.
That's what.
Okay, thank you.
I think I can speak to a couple of those. The still can always come back and file it or request an extension. That's no problem on the capital projects. We're not saying they need to be spent within that 2-year period, just kind of extending that end date for some projects that might be more helpful, but always the opportunity to come back and request that extension on capital projects. And then I do see that we removed specifically the wording for number 2 in our goal number 2 in our strategic plan, which is still where the focus lies. But that is a good point. Thank you, Catherine.
Well, so I guess my question is are you tying it to your town hall things that you're coming up, or are you guys doing a strategic plan?
I think
When we write a grant, I mean, you guys have all written grants, I've written grants. You tie it to a specific thing to show you're meeting that goal with the money. So my ultimate question is I guess, is how are we supposed to tie this request to this grant?
Okay, I'll just say my thoughts on it and the other commissioners. Prior to 2 years ago, it was completely opened up. 2 years ago was when it was narrowed to the specific. So there were criteria at that point. Is that correct, Brooklyn, from the records you found? That we had
yes.
Criteria.
And the merit review criteria is still the same. It is still, number 1 being the benefit to the community, whether that's economic development, cultural and historical preservation, community and essential services. Second being matched funds leveraged, and then also the timeliness and the need for the funding. Those are still the same. Merit criteria didn't change there. Just that specificity on what the capital projects were to be is what changed.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Okay. We're now going to move on to operational support grant guidelines, application attachments, and any amendments that we had there. Again, just the overall was that we broaden the focus of the investments, removing that specificity on housing developments, early education access, and healthcare services. Not eliminating those, just opening it up. Eligibility criteria, the same. We added clarity on nonprofit organizations and that additional requirements for successful nonprofits, meaning their proof of incorporation. eligibility criteria, removed all the housing, early education, healthcare requirements, allowable grant funds. All right, the next two are the ones that we aren't necessarily proposing, we would like to have conversations on. This one is the allowable grant fund uses. Consider the removal of employee salaries and benefits that are part of the allowable grant fund uses.
This is where I had the huge problem. Because I, as a business owner, even if I look at my own personal business, we pay 40% of our income to wages in our business, and that's not paying any benefits. So if we were paying benefits, we'd be looking at between 60 and 70%. When I was on the school board, it was over 80% was wages and salaries and benefits for, so whenever you had to make cuts, you had to cut staff. If you look at just the Arlington childcare stuff that was in our packet alone, they had $28,000 in 1 month of expenses. 5,000 of that was for an attorney. If you take that out, that's 23,000. Their wages were 15,000 and their income was 1,300. So unless other stuff comes in, the only place they can cut is staff. So I don't think we can do this to our nonprofits. I just have a huge problem with it.
My thoughts were to allow it for childcare. But, anyway, let's see if there's are there any grant committee members that can speak to us about that? Because, I'd like to hear if they're on the line.
This is Sherry Wilkins, grant committee member. And Brooke, you correct me if I'm misspeaking, but I think one of the grant committee's concerns was, one of the big things years ago, or a few years ago, was sustainability. And if an entity can't sustain their staffing without outside support, then we were concerned that maybe they had gotten overstaffed or they had gotten bigger than their business or their nonprofit was able to support. And that's where our thinking is. We're all about funding projects, but to fund the infrastructure of your business seemed unsustainable. And correct me if I'm wrong.
So it makes me confused, Sherry, because the sustainability plan requirement is kind of one of the things you guys removed or are recommending removing. But another thing I would like, it just came to the top of my head. I remember when we had PAs in Condon for years that ran our clinic, and then they all retired and we had to get new ones, and the new ones were like, I don't want to work for that amount of money. So the health district came to the county to get additional funds to help prop up those PA salaries so they could actually attract somebody into the community. So I just don't think that it would be a good idea to remove that at all.
I hear your point.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just to let the people online know, we have some people in the audience who wanted to speak, so I'm going to address them. And I believe you were first, and then I'll get over to the early learning. Just a moment. Go ahead, Jess. Oh, sorry. He had his hand up a long time ago and we missed it. Sorry, and then I'll go to Hannah, and then we'll go to the early learning.
About capital grants, so maybe this conversation is proceeding about employees. Go ahead and proceed with that one.
Okay, don't let us forget to come back to you, okay? Okay, go ahead. Hannah.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to speak on the wages parts of the nonprofit. As you guys know, you do support us every year with the operational grant. We only ever request $150,000 a year. But it is a large portion, as David stated earlier, of our budget. It's like 57%. I took the job at Summit Springs 5 years ago, April 1st.
Yeah.
And we have made huge strides in the way that it's ran and performed. And you know, paying our people to be there, we employ 27 people in Condon. That's a huge amount for Condon, as we know. And we still, you know, we operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Our business, we don't close. There's somebody on staff all the time. So to be able to pay these people to care for other people's lives and be there 24 hours a day, you know, we can't just be short-staffed and shut down. That doesn't happen in our business and in healthcare. So I just think it's really important for everybody to think about that in a small community. We did just receive a deficiency-free estate survey. We're one of the best facilities in Oregon. And I think that the operations grant is a huge asset to our wages, to keep our staff and pay them well, to continue to go on such a positive path.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the report. Thank you, Chris. And I just wanted to hear a why, which I think Sherry kind of explained the thought behind that.
Right.
But I am gonna advocate kind of on Leah's side with, I just think it's a bad idea right now for our nonprofits and our businesses that are doing well in the community.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's a national thing that it's between 40 to 80% that businesses and nonprofits run with their employers or as employees, with employees and benefits. So it's a huge part of every business. That's why on the grant thing, it was at the top. Okay, so it was so big. Sarah.
I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of what Hannah said and speak about nonprofits, especially here in rural towns. People expect it to be, you know, public, accessible, affordable, and we try to meet those needs, even at our own expense, right? And the majority, especially healthcare clinics, Summit Springs, us, we rely a lot on federal dollars, even though they don't really make up a lot. It does not cover income or sorry, it does not cover expenses. It covers about 53% for us personally, our payroll, not including anything else. So this redundancy of like trying to meet the public's needs, yet trying to be a sustainable nonprofit, which is for our sector, it's never going to happen, especially with the uncertainty of federal funds. We don't know what the 3-year, 4-year, 5-year plan is going to look like. So that's when I feel like county investment is super important to keep these things close so that people don't move and try to find that elsewhere.
Okay. Haley?
Haley Andrews, Director of the Early Learning Center. Same information. I have some numbers for you if that helps at all. And also I just kind of want to think about, my grandpa once told me like certain restaurants and things like that in Condon and Arlington struggle because of our population issues. So having these things that we have like a health center, childcare center, and Summit Springs, those are a luxury with our low population. It's hard to keep businesses sustainable, period, especially when you're talking about medical supplies, diapers, licensing regulation, things like that. To keep that standard of care there is simply more expensive than our community members can actually pay into on their own salaries. For instance, if we were not allowed to use our operational grants towards payroll, we would only have we would have an ask maybe last year of around $75,000. And that would put us in the hole of about 277. And if we were to spread that out amongst community slots, that would be a minimum of $2,307 for a community payer. And that's if we were filling 12 slots of community slots. They simply wouldn't be able to pay that and we would close. That's how devastating that would be. So I just want to be real clear on what that would look like.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, should we go back to Brooklyn to continue on, or do we have any questions?
We have 2 people online with their hands raised. Damon Holland.
Yeah, hello, I'm Damon Holland. I work as an outpatient mental health therapist for Community Counseling Solutions, serving Condon and Arlington. I want to preface this by saying that my wife is a teacher at the Condon Early Learning Center, and I work really closely and collaboratively with the amazing and valued community partners at the health clinic and Summit Springs. In kind of reviewing these potential changes, and while I do think that there's a benefit from widening potential focus of grant funding as a general principle, I don't think that this is an appropriate time to do so. It's not a secret that vitally important community resources such as Summit Springs, the Early Learning Center, and the Health Center, I don't feel like it makes sense to broaden the scope and also narrow the focus when those foundational services don't have clarity and probably sufficient confidence that they are going to be funded long term. And it's been previously mentioned today, and everybody can more effectively sing the praises of each one of these organizations. But the salaries and the income of the people that are actually working is one of the largest budget items. And I'm pretty much against anything that potentially threatens these foundational services that support some of our most vulnerable populations in children, elders, and anybody seeking medical health care. So while I think that the broadening could be a potentially good thing to do, not at the same time as narrowing the focus of how that funding can be used. I just don't want it to hurt the things that we already need to fund for potentially something else that might be able to be funded. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Daleen as well. Okay. Daleen Selby. Wilson, yes. Wilson, excuse me.
And actually, I apologize. I'm on Daleen Wilson's computer, but this is Lisa Helms, and I'm the administrator at the South Gillum Health Center and also a recipient of the operational grant. And I just want to reiterate what others have said about how it's really difficult, I guess, to find other funding that actually allows for paying salaries. And as Leah said, our clinic, we do have 2 really great PAs. And I think without the support of the operational grant, it would be difficult to try to keep 2 PAs. And furthermore, at the clinic, we really operate on pretty few staff. We don't even employ medical assistants. The PAs do their own medical assistant work, such as taking the vitals, and all of us actually pitch in to clean rooms and things like that. So I think that I just hope that the grant committee considers that. And our clinic is I wish I had statistics for you at this point, but this was kind of a quick thing that I wasn't paying attention to. So please just consider that. Our clinic is very vital to our community. We serve patients not only in Condon, but other communities as well. And as a special district, we get less than $150,000 from the taxes, which is unique. And so please just consider that when you're making your decision.
Thank you. Brooklyn, back to you.
Okay. I guess we'll just move past that proposal and we can revisit that. Or do you guys want to further discuss?
Yes, that's a big issue today, and we will be talking about that, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is Sherry Wilkins again. Let's keep in mind that the grant committee is only making recommendations to the county court, and the county court will make the ultimate decision on what these grants, how they're read. So just to be clear.
Okay.
And I hear every one of you, and I understand. Thank you.
Right. Okay. We do have a person who raised their hand in the audience here. So
I just have one more thing to add.
It's Ashley Ayla's Arlington Childcare.
Yeah. If that were the case, our only options right now would be to raise our prices to where no one can afford it, cut the staff, and eventually we would have to close because no one is going to
realize
prices.
Thank you.
Just
Okay, Brooklyn.
Okay, all right, moving right along. The next one was in the general guidelines. Initially, what you guys have in front of you states applicants should provide proof of seeking at least 2 additional funding sources with redirection or approval notices in their application. I guess I've talked a little bit more with the grant committee members since then, and our new suggestion would be applicants should just provide proof of seeking at least 2 additional funding sources, whether that's like listing who they applied through, because it's under the impression that they don't always get a rejection or an approval notice when they may apply for grants. So that was a little change there from what was suggested.
Right.
Within the general guidelines, we also are suggesting that in-kind contributions are made eligible for match funds, where previously in-kind was not an eligible match fund. The sustainability plan requirements, which does kind of fall in line with the conversations that are happening, we just suggested be removed entirely. I'm not sure they're seeing a lot of benefit from that portion of the application. Within the application itself, the removal of the financial health report and the removal of the financial sustainability plan, and then just updating again, as mentioned before, that requirement for proof of incorporation for nonprofit organizations. And then with that suggested, and with the suggested update of using in-kind funds, also just verifying the volunteer hourly rate being set to the Oregon non-urban minimum wage, or for specialized skills, the actual wage, which was across the board the others. That it was all of our proposed changes for operational support, grant guidelines, applications, and its attachments. I'm gonna guess there's not anything, but I want to
Thank
make
you.
sure if there is anything, we talk about it before I move on to special projects.
Oh, Jen. Jen Crowther.
Jed, do you
You
want
want to go back to
do you wanna
the
go back to
capital
capital
investment?
I think I'll reserve that for conversation.
Okay. I hear everything that everyone's saying, and although I wasn't part of the county court, I can remember when a lot of these agreements started. So I'm just gonna say a few things. There were concerns about these agreements ending way back when, and what would we do? And here we are. We do now know that it looks like some of these dollars will roll into property taxes that will sustain at their current level, but again, we do not know. So I caution everyone in their own operations about that, because we need to be clear, and I think that full disclosure is best. We have, as I said, this budget year that we're working on now, coming up, and one more with Shepherd's Flat, which generates $3 million, $3 million plus a year. These dollars we're talking about right here. So I just need to make sure we're all aware. We don't know how they're going to roll into taxes, but we're hoping that we'll be whole. And so I think that historically, although the people who were in these seats at that time aren't here to speak to us, why they were concerned about the payroll and benefits. Why they were concerned with, they didn't want to have to end someone's job because we provided a grant for so long for payroll and benefits. And I believe that's the history there.
Well, I think that is why they had the sustainability plan requirement in the grant process too, was so that people could actually be looking at how they were going to sustain themselves down the road after all those sunsetted.
Yeah. Okay. And so I personally think the biggest issue is the salary and benefits for 2 specific streams of service that we have. It's childcare and healthcare. Now, would you say healthcare falls into what you're doing? Okay. I don't know what everyone else thinks, but I would support amending the grant agreement on salaries and benefits to include childcare and healthcare.
So we're moving with the exception of these 2.
Yeah, so on the grant, now this is just my thoughts. Let me see, it was in red on one of these 2.
Get to it.
It just says consider removal of employee salaries and benefits. Wording could be removal of employee salary and benefits, excluding childcare and healthcare services.
Well, then you're gonna have outfits that are gonna come in and apply for them, and then they're just gonna do creative accounting so that they can, you know.
Which is
and they're
fine.
gonna
I mean,
pay
if
for
they,
what- They're gonna pay for what they wanna pay for.
That's fine. Then we have history that shows what we paid for. So.
Yeah, and if they're able to juggle their accounting system to do that, then that's where they need to start.
I think that if it should either be employee salaries and benefits across the board or no employees and salaries and benefits across the board would be my thought there.
As a grant committee member, I don't have a problem with making that change. It was a recommendation or a suggestion. It wasn't something cast in stone.
Do you mean across the board, Sherry, or do you mean?
Yes, just because that makes it simpler, and Leah's right. They'll just juggle
Okay.
things around until it works out for them. And I hear this, we are in a county where services are expensive and wages are not compatible with those, like childcare. And I took care of my mother for 4.5 years because we could not afford to put her in to elderly care. So I totally understand.
I think it's really just the part of a bigger conversation that's already happening and people are having, and which is just that, as Judge Patton had mentioned, these things sunsetting in the future and the potential risk that there is when the county's funding folks' salaries and benefits for these entities. I think it's just a larger conversation to continue to have to figure out how we can work together to support these critical services within our community.
Right, and this is really another conversation, because these are just the guidelines, but during the budget process, we really need to address the amount we're spending out of the strategic investment program. There's $15 million cash carryover, and we're bringing in about 4. We're giving some to each city. And we need to be sure that we're only expending what we're bringing in if we want to preserve that balance, the balance forward. So that's just another thing that's on our end, but it's a big part of the equation. I wish the pocketbook was completely open and we could pay for everything, but we all have to make sure that we're protecting Gillum County's resources.
The endowment idea work, even if we keep inside accounts, just so monies can roll over and accrue interest, so that, you know, for maybe not just us, but for anyone who is looking at.
The early learning sustainability line item is already in the economic enhancement ordinance, and that's 20% of about $5 million.
And it rolls over and accrues.
Currently, yeah, that will be part of what the budget committee is going to be discussing, how that's going to be structured. Okay. All right.
So, the last thing, Brooke, I do think it's a good idea that on special project grants to open 2 grant cycles. Because
are we ready to go into the special project?
On the special projects, yeah, I think that's a good idea, because I think a lot of times what happens is on the special projects, everybody's like, oh, I gotta get that in, and then they have to rush it and stuff, so I definitely like that idea.
Okay, I guess I just want to finish that. So we are going to we're going to keep employee salaries and benefits in the grant guidelines as of now. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what we're here. That's what you're hearing.
I just want to make sure my notes I'm writing over here are right. Okay,
Right.
great. I'll just
And
jump into, oh, go ahead.
Okay. And then before I address somebody in the audience, I just wanted to clarify, are we all in agreement about opening up 2 grant cycles for the special projects north and south end?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
All
so I
right,
just
so
want to
that,
touch
that's
base,
a
I
yes
guess,
as well.
on the rest of
Okay.
the special projects. I didn't get to go through that. So the other portions of the special projects are again, just that proof of incorporation and then setting the volunteer hourly rate to the Oregon non-urban minimum wage. There really wasn't a lot of changes to the special projects aside from the opening up of 2 grant cycles for the upcoming fiscal year. Again, as has been mentioned by the community, having that feeling of it being heavily focused on the South. But really the same amount of funds go into these North projects bucket and the South projects bucket. When we do 2 grant cycles, the fall grant cycle, the awards that we can do there will be based on what we're awarded in the spring. So people will just need to be aware of that, and we will share that the current balance of the special projects for the North and the South when we post that fall cycle, just so that folks are aware that, you know, the South end has $30,000 that you can apply for, the North has $275,000 you can apply for.
Yeah, sounds great. Okay, somebody raise their hand in the audience.
Jeremiah Rogers, live in Ione. So if you broaden from the childcare and the housing, and doesn't that lessen the pie for those crucial programs? I guess that's how it sounded to me, and I just wanted to say
Prior to 2 years ago, these funds were available to any taxing district or nonprofit or other community partners in the program in general. So that's the history, but it's just been a recent decision in the last 2 years to narrow it down. And the documentation that I saw on that narrowing was that it would just occur on those 2 years, with an indication that it would open back up. But that's what we're doing. That's what we're considering. So, any other thoughts?
I guess we could talk about the proposed budget that we suggested. The proposed budget was to have the competitive grants program be 3 million for FY26, which would be 2 million for the capital projects program and 1 million for the operational support program.
Which isn't spending more than we're earning each year because of the strategic investment program agreements we currently have.
That's all I have for the grant, for the updates that we're proposing. If there's any additional questions or anything, we're happy to answer.
How much right now is left in the capital projects grant?
Sorry, I just exited out of my spreadsheet. Let me open it. We budgeted for FY26 and the prior year competitive grants 6.8 million. The operational support was at $1 million. So that put us at, right now remaining budget is 3.8 for FY26.
I think what happened was
25, excuse me.
when the budget was prepared, the fact that we weren't bringing the revenue in was not taken into account, that a project ended. And in the budget, there was no account, it wasn't accounted for on the revenue side. So I think that's how we got, or there may have been a decision made to spend some of that cash reserve.
Well, I think as we can tell that there were big projects that came down the pipeline with the Condon Early Learning Center and the port. They both had large requests that came in the last fiscal years, and I think that they likely bolstered that competitive grant program to accommodate for some of those projects that were coming down, which those have been funded now. So our proposal was just to half that back down to where it was historic.
Right.
The only reason I'm asking you is because I didn't know if there was any flexibility between the competitive grant and the operational support grants. If we have an imbalance, you know, like we don't have hardly anybody that's asking for any capital projects, can we fund more of the operational or vice versa? I mean, is there any flexibility for that?
Yeah, I think in the event that there's disparity in requests and grants, that we could, backfill the other one, because that's, potentially, that's why we left the capital projects are open, because we weren't getting as many requests. Right.
So you
Yes,
could
by
move
the-
to
Move them
to
around.
different.
That's what I was wondering, if we can have some flexibility and not just rigidly say, this is it.
Remaining balances.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
think that the budget proposal is 3 million for the competitive grants program, which is operational and capital investment.
One line item.
The proposal is that there are 2 cycles, the first cycle being in the fall, the second being would actually be closing prior to when the operational grant cycle opened. So really, in an ideal world, we would have already received the applications and awarded the funds for the capital investment grants, and then we would know what that remaining budget would be for the last, for that, and that could feed into your next year's grant, but it's $3 million, and right now, and then the guidelines further from that are $1 million to operational, 2 million to capital projects, but I think there's leeway in there because it's technically one line item.
Right. Okay. Are we there? Do we know? Yeah, so my little notes that I wrote is on the capital investment grant guidelines. I would like, I don't mind the outline 2 grant cycles for the upcoming fiscal year, but I would like to see the language of that the coming to the court was available, like we discussed. I don't like the idea of the county sign being outside the projects, but that's just a personal thing. I do not want the removal of the employees and salary benefits from the operational. And I think that the sustainability plan requirement is a useful tool for entities to try to figure out how they're gonna go forward when, like Chris said, our funds start going away on the SIP and we don't have as much. So those are my thoughts. Okay.
So just the sign, keeping that in, the employee salaries, benefits, and keeping the sustainability plan requirement, keeping that in there, right? Those are your 3.
No, I said I didn't like the signage.
Oh, well, yeah. and
But that's a
you
personal,
didn't like the signage.
yeah, I don't like that, but that's a personal thing and I really, I'm not gonna die on the hill for that, right? Okay.
Yes, the edits,
okay.
the amendments that I'm seeing from our proposals are providing clarification on the ability to come to county court outside of the grant cycles. Keeping the employee salaries and benefits within the allowable grant uses, and then leaving the sustainability plan requirements in the operational support grant.
Oh, and then I see, and then I think you had talked about taking the rejection and approval notices out. since
Yeah, just
not
amending that
everybody
to,
gets it. Yeah,
yeah, to say something, just change the wording of that to be, list sought out grants, or I'll have to think about that, not on the spot, but.
yeah. Okay. I mean, I understand why they want to know that, because we don't want to be the only funding source, so we want, people to go out and seek other funds. Do we need to discuss any further? Okay, do we have a motion? And I'm sorry to do this to 2 of you. Because I will, approve do you want one for each one or this the whole thing?
You could do all 3 capital projects, operational support.
I make a motion to approve the capital investment grant guidelines, applications and attachments, the operational support grants, guidelines, application and attachments, special projects grant guidelines, application and attachments as amended.
And the amendments include?
And the amendments include, capital investment grant guidelines, review process, adding language for coming in front of the county court. Operational support grant guidelines, allowable grant
funds, putting the employee salaries and benefits back into allowable grant uses, removing the verbiage in the general guidelines with rejection and approval notices, and putting the sustainability plan requirement back in.
Did we get that?
Yes, she did it.
I will second.
That was a long motion.
I will second the motion.
Okay, is there any, there's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? And good job, Leah. You did a good job. All right, so we need a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, and the operational support guidelines and grant application is amended. And I hope that everybody feels they were heard today. Thank you for coming. Right?
And those are going out and
Soon, like it's gonna be in the paper, April 1st, April 2nd, or when do we send out put
Was
it in the
the-
newspaper?
Date that we decided, we haven't, I mean, set a set date. We just, before the process, we kind of relied on the budget committee, but that's no longer the process. So, I guess it was just determined on what happened here this week and then going from there. So my
Do they
thought,
typically have like 30 days to apply from the time we put the forms up on the website and the newspaper?
yes, it'll
Okay.
roughly be that 30 days.
Okay.
And I'll send
All
out
right.
an email to prior applicants and then it'll get posted in, of course, the website and in the newspaper.
Thank you for all your work on this. It's a big part of,
and I would, Brooke, emphasize on the website, if you put that out there, that there is gonna be 2 cycles for the special projects. So that, because I know there's people that they're always like, oh my God, it's closing, I gotta get my application in. So I think they know that they can do that.
Yeah, I'll try and figure out a way to word it so that they know that they should probably go for the spring one, especially if then they're in the south end of the county. Because that's when the funds will be at their highest.
they're more heavily used there.
And I thought of you guys, when you were talking about your security cameras and stuff, apply for the special projects grants for those.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because the north end is not heavily utilized. So.
No, and that's a perfect thing.
And those are 30,000 or less. Is that correct, Brooklyn?
Yes, 30,000 for capital projects, 20,000 for community innovation, 7,500 for events.
Okay, that concludes that agenda item. So 8.4, discuss annual roundtable meeting, strategic plan goal number 4. In the strategic plan, it states that we will have annual meetings of all taxing districts and other community partners. And I think we need to, I just want to talk about that. I think we should do that. I think it's good to get everybody in the same room to talk about the goals for the year, things that are have in common. I think it's good. Housing, childcare, all of it.
So you want to just set up like a special meeting possibly in March?
Yeah.
Or-
Right. I think it should be when we're north and south are both there at the same time in the county court.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it would be setting up a special meeting. We're gearing up with, the budget process. So I think, early summer, late spring, when we're through with that, might be a good time because everybody's going to be dealing with their budgets. Do you have any input, Jed, since you're here, or Joe Clotton? Okay.
Yeah, we're happy to meet when you schedule it.
Good. Okay, good. All right, so we'll start working on that. Okay. Anything else to add on that?
Is it something we can do like after a meeting, like maybe beginning like at 1 o'clock?
Yeah, that would work too. The only problem would be, I'm thinking evening because, some of the taxing districts have volunteer boards and they work, so. But we can look at both options. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
See what
you
works
can always
best for everybody.
push out a doodle poll as well is always really nice to the top, the
Good.
not necessarily CEOs, but the tops of those organizations so that they can provide input on what days and times work best for them beforehand as well.
Yeah. Thank you. You can do that then.
Doodle poll is very straightforward for everybody. It's a good thing.
Okay, good. All right, announcements, next meeting is April 2nd, 10 o'clock a.m. I got that right on you, didn't I? Yes. In the Gillum County Courthouse. Our budget committee meeting has been moved. It hasn't been moved, it will be advertised and will occur on, Brooklyn is at the,
Monday, April 14th, 8:30 a.m. Grant, I just need a confirmation from you. I haven't received that.
I thought I sent it.
We got confirmation now. Perfect. 8:30, the 14th. That works.
8:30?
8:30, the 14th. If a second meeting will be needed, it will be the 21st, the following Monday. And we'll advertise for both of those in the newspaper at the same time, just to cover bases.
That's at the courthouse, right, Brooklyn?
Yes, but those will both be at the courthouse in the circuit courtroom upstairs.
Yeah, because the 7th or the 14th are pretty, so. Yeah.
Okay, yesterday Senator Merkley held a town hall in Gillum County. It was very, very good, very informative. Yeah, there was a lot of good comments, a lot of good conversation, but during that, he's produced this guide to Oregon treasures, and it's a journal. Every single county's in here and the things you can do in each county. And so you can get this on his website, or the information is included in this booklet, but thought that was good. So as far as things have been going on this month, I met with Jessica Mehta. The assessor is working with them on some boundary things for potentially moving to McKed, which is economic development district, larger economic development district. And it would be centered in the Dallas area. And I have a meeting tomorrow with them to talk, to attend their meeting to start gearing up for that process. Commissioner Watkins and I both attended the SWCD annual meeting, and Gillum County was given a special award for their help with the virtual events program. And that was nice to receive. Working on the budget process with Brooklyn, Nathan, everybody in the building. We have budget narratives coming in, which are going to be a good addition to the budget to explain what each program is and the goals for those programs. What else is there? Oh, I performed a wedding ceremony this month. That was an interesting one. I have a meeting with Nate Stice coming up next week, and he is Regional Solutions Governor's Representative. Let's see, what else has been going on? Meeting with a lot of people in the office on the courthouse regarding budget issues. If you haven't done your statement of economic interest, that's coming up. The window is open and it lasts till, I believe, the 15th of April.
I just got mine.
Yep, I did it. And that's pretty much what we've been working on. What have you been working on?
There you go, Leah.
I was trying to find my phone to see remember what I did. It's not been that important.
I can go real quick. March 8th, I attended the Rush Street Schoolhouse. They're gonna become a nonprofit. They're trying to salvage that. It was a great turnout. There was about probably 40-50 people there. And you received a letter from Cordelia Power, had a great conversation with Annabelle and Sean on March 14th, discussing the proposed easement. Sean brought up that there's no fee to charge them for that. And he said that's kind of unusual, but I would like to try to do I'm gonna look at some other county easements and reach out to some people to see what they have and get back, work with Sean and Annabelle on that. I think we need to have some improvements on the application form and stuff going forward. But overall, I say it's a great meeting. March 14th, FRIA meeting. Like I say, a lot of uncertainty out there, the federal level. transmission, power needs, data centers, all behind the eight ball still, and, they're still talking Umatilla County, the small nuke, possibly. But, a lot of things on the horizon, but doesn't sound like anything really set in stone to fix it. With yesterday, I also attended Merkley's town hall and I brought up the question about EMS service support for some of our rural county. And I mentioned that to Ron Wyden back in August, I believe, when he was at the town hall. Anyway, somebody from Mr. Merkley's office is supposed to get back to me, and I have a Norcore meeting tomorrow.
Okay. Good. Commissioner Walker?
So we had a, Columbia Ridge, advisory committee meeting last night, which went well, but Watco was actually on the call this time. One of the things that just as a citizen, I think Rich Harper brought up was, he's concerned that the county isn't gonna get any value out of the old Cedar Springs Road, if we turn it over, so I'm just bringing that to the board. I do know that Dewey had talked about one time, reclaiming the pavement and stuff on that, so there's value in that, but right, that's a discussion for another time.
Okay.
But other than that,
The one other thing I want to mention is we've gotten through the strategic investment program agreement. Now there will be an IGA. The community service fee that comes from the agreement is distributed to the districts. So I've talked to all of the districts about that. And so you will be presented with an IGA, which is a similar IGA that you've received before, but it'll have, you actually will be getting more than you have in other community service fee distributions. So that will be coming to you next. So you need to get through this, and then we're going to do the IGA. So I was going to go around and talk to all the districts today, this afternoon, about our numbers. We haven't already drawn that, so we have 90 days, or else Business Oregon decides the distribution for us. So we have a little bit of time, but not a lot of time.
I did have one thing I forgot. The Anderson Perry design study contract is still in the works. Legal counsel looked at it and they had some suggestions. I haven't signed anything, but it's still in the works of getting that signed with Anderson Perry and completed, so.
Thank you.
I would like to know from Jed, how is the housing thing up on the hill going?
I was gonna comment, but I didn't get here in time during the initial stage. We received 9 bids. The apparent low bidder is Boland Construction. We issued a notice of intent to award. I think I got the amount. $1,279,705. That's real close to the county award. We're grateful for the county award to be able to install that infrastructure at Alkali Ridge. They would have 150 days to project completion. That would also align with our timing on the grant extension that was given to the port previously. So all things go for that project.
How many lots?
There are only, I think it's 13 lots developed as part of that subdivision submittal. However, that front 3.5 acre lot can have much more density than that as a developer purchases and takes that on. And that's kind of been our focal point all along, is the workforce housing aspect of that. There are portions of that site that are larger lot, single family home type builds that might take longer to play out for, higher wage earners probably for those sections. But to focus on that workforce housing, we could fit 25 multifamily or whatever type of of development happens, there are 20 units of housing in that front.
Oh,
portion.
20 units, okay. And this is for just the infrastructure. This is to get them building ready, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, the port took on that role as a facilitator for infrastructure. Our intent is not to be that start to finish, be a builder, be a developer. It's just that things are at a standstill and we recognize the need for workforce housing. And so the port went ahead and took that on. We were able to partition the home site separately and sell it. We're able to, gratefully receive funds from the county to put in that infrastructure, move the needle so that eventually hand off to private industry and let them thrive and build the units. It's one of those, was talked about earlier, it takes a while to implement these large projects. And so we appreciate the flexibility that's granted there with getting an extension on funds, things like that, so. But anyway, shortly, we'll see some movement up there with installing water, sewer, and streets.
Good, thank you.
Anything else? He has a plan that can show you can look at grant.
I saw it online, yeah, it's got it on their webpage.
3D when they created.
There we go. Okay, is there any other business? Thanks, Jen. Thank you. Do you know what other business? The meeting's adjourned. Thank you.